What's up, everyone? How you doing? It's John, and welcome back. Thank you for tuning in. This video, I want to talk about the Apple IIc computer. Obviously, it's sitting in front of me. This straight up is my childhood, guys. I'm dating myself, of course. I'm pretty old, but this is what I grew up with. And what's really cool, this computer is the exact same computer I grew up with a kid, growing up with my family. This is my family computer back in the mid '80s. My parents held on to it. I found it in storage years ago, and it still works. I have the dot matrix printer as well. I have all the accessories. The dot matrix printer still works, believe it or not. I'm getting low on paper because I have the special paper that you peel off. And I have a lot of memories growing up as a kid with the dot matrix printer. And there was a program on here that my parents would design birthday cards and anniversary cards and graduation cards or whatever it was, for whatever celebration. And they print it and they would fold them. And it looked really cheesy, but it was like the future. It was, because this is the infancy of computers, right? Home computers, that is, back in the 80s, right? The 80s was a huge growth period for home computers, right? Apple was not the only computer company making computers, right? Apple, there was just Apple, but we had IBM. IBM had, for example, the PC Junior, which came out around the same year in 1984, and around the same price, right? And we also had Atari making their XE computer line. We also had Commodore making their Commodore 128s. So those are pretty comparable to what this is. So there's a lot of choices out in the market. And this thing, by the way, retailed for $1,295 US back in 1984. It lasted for 4 years, right? By 1988, Apple stopped supporting the computer altogether. This particular one, they still supported the Apple II line of computers. About $1,300 in 1984, for example, with inflation, including that, is close to $3,800 today in 2023. So computers were definitely not cheap back then. It was a luxury to have a home computer. If your family had a home computer, you were the cool kid on the block, right? This is before the internet really blew up. So there really was no real true operating system. There was an operating system, but not to what we really think of. When the Macintosh, which Apple also released during 1984, was released, that was hugely revolutionary because it introduced a really great operating system, which Apple and even PCs use today, right? That's the kind of where the basis of what we're used to, like Windows and all that. It was a huge success. The Macintosh was a huge success for Apple. The Macintosh line of computers is around still today. They still supported the Apple II line of computers through the early 1990s. This is what they would consider the fourth generation of Apple computers, right? So you originally had the original Apple II, came out in 1977, followed by the Apple II Plus, the Apple IIe, which is a lot more successful to this. Of course, the C came out. The E came out 1983, a year prior, same price. The reason why they call this the Apple IIc is because the C stands for compact. Believe it or not, they consider this thing portable. They consider this thing slimmed down. You could take it to go, which definitely obviously is not the case. We consider portable today like a laptop. This is pre-laptop, right? But this thing is really cool. So I have a lot of fond memories playing this in school. Great learning games, right? Some that come to mind, of course, Oregon Trail, which I have on here, which is probably the most iconic game for the Apple II, which most people think of. A lot of people played it in school. So growing up in the 80s, during like second, third, fourth grade, we would have computer lab, and we'd have about 45 minutes, and we go into the computer lab, and there's full of Apple IIes, right? Apple IIes and Apple IIcs. And we'd have about 45 minutes of playing computer games, right? So these were educational games. So Oregon Trail, of course, was an option. Number Munchers was another option. Reader Rabbit was another one that I played a lot growing up. And when I come home, I would play games, right? Real games, so to speak. So my brother, for example, would play a lot of Sierra games. So my brother and I would play King's Quest, the King's Quest series by Sierra, Space Quest, I always said King's Quest, but we have a bunch of quests, right? Leisure Suit Larry, Police Quest, all those came out for the Apple II. And those were what we would consider like a point and click style game, right? So point and click, this is prior to the mouse, so it was more like type and click. So these are adventure games, and you have to type in, open door. And if you didn't type in the right action word, it wouldn't work. So it took some time, pre-internet, so you really couldn't go online to do any cheats. They were tricky, but when you solved them, it was an amazing experience. So this is a little bit more, even though it is compact, right? It's not technically portable. It is more compact than the typical Apple IIe computer. There were 5 built-in kind of expansion cards that were built into this PC, unlike the Apple IIe. It has a built-in 5.25 inch floppy games. And for those who don't know, let me show you what a floppy is. This is what a floppy is. This right now I have Pac-Man, and you can see here, there's a sleeve. You put this in there, and this is where the programs were in. There wasn't much memory on these, so you'd have to flip them over. So for example, playing King's Quest, it had like 4 different floppies. So it would tell you kind of when to flip, and you had to do all that. When you boot this thing up, the sound, so iconic. I'll show you in a second. It reminded me of, in more guys in modern times, so to speak, even though it's a little bit more retro now, was the Dreamcast, right? So when you boot up a Dreamcast, you hear the high-pitched sound, and you see the intro. That's kind of what it was. There was no intro here, but you had the sound, the boot up sound. And if you were to pick me up, blindfold me, and you were to power this thing up, multiple computers up, and I could tell the sound of the boot up for the Apple IIe and Apple IIc computers. When they were developing this, initially, before it was called the Apple IIc, the code name for the project was called Yoda. So obviously, someone on the Apple II team was a huge Star Wars fan, and that's a reference to Star Wars, obviously, because it's in the 80s, and Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi had just came out. Hugely popular back then in the 80s. Before I show you some gameplay, there's a couple things I do want to mention real quick. As far as unit sales, as far as computer sales go for this, Apple's estimate and goal was to sell over 100,000 of these a month in 1984 through the following years, right? So they're hoping to be very successful. The Apple IIe was successful, so they kind of slimmed down on the production Apple IIe. They beefed up on the production of the Apple IIc. At the end of the day, they only sold 100,000 of these per year, not per month. So only lasted for 4 years. So about 400,000 of these have been produced, which is a decent amount. But the IBM PC Junior outsold this. They had to kind of scramble and revamp the Apple IIe more because those were end up selling a little bit better. So this didn't really click with people necessarily because, again, it's not really compact, so to speak. The monitor itself is nice because it has a colored monitor, which is great. A lot of the Apple IIe computers, there is a colored monitor for that as well. This is compatible. 90 to 95% of the programs and disks, there's over 10,000 by the way, for the Apple II, are compatible with Apple IIc, but there's about that 5 to 10% that are not, which is kind of odd. So a lot of the games like Oregon Trail can play on both platforms. When I grew up, the Apple IIe computer, for example, the monitors in my school were all monochrome green. They were single color. So having the color monitor at home was nice because you have a little bit more depth, although there's only like 10 or 12 colors that can be displayed on the screen. So it's color, but it's not like what you would think of like colors in today's PCs and computers, of course. If it weren't for the success of the Apple II line of computers, we wouldn't see the Macintosh. If it weren't for the Macintosh, we wouldn't see the computers that we have today, right? So in order to appreciate today's computers and PCs and the MacBook Pros and all those, you have to give respect to the original ones, the grandfathers, the ones that started all, because, during the 80s, Apple was very successful. In the 90s, they kind of went down. Steve Jobs left, he came back, released the iPod, and we all know the rest is history there, right? So now I'm going to show you some gameplay of Oregon Trail. Let's take a closer look. Thanks for watching, guys. Before I show you the game, of course, and some gameplay of the Oregon Trail, I do want to just talk about the keyboard itself, right? So on the side here, you have where the floppies would go in and out. Okay, this is where it ejects. You have your on and off switch on the back. There's a bunch of different ports. QWERTY keyboard, of course. You have your reset button here, the 840 and keyboard buttons. I'm not quite sure what those do, to be honest. Basically, I think they just changed the layout of the keyboard a little bit, but the button layout, for example, how they respond. This in use with light red. You have the power, right now it's powered on. You have your Apple button, of course, here on the bottom right. You have 2 Apple buttons here. Feels good, right? It feels nice. These lines here were intentional, right? So obviously it was a vent to keep it cool, for air to flow in and out. This is what they would consider, I'm not quite sure what they call it this, but they call it a Snow White design language. And basically what it was, they did these lines and stripes here, and this was a design that Apple would use for years, really to the early 90s. And essentially it would it's an optical illusion. It makes it supposed to look smaller for some reason. The lines are supposed to make it look smaller. They have the classic Apple logo here in rainbow, kind of the multicolored Apple logo. So that's kind of look at the computer itself. Let me show you the back ports. It's about 7.5 pounds. You can see the different ports, right? So there's different ports for, I guess there is like a phone kind of port. Here's a printer port. Multiple screens here, your on and off switch here. I don't remember having internet on this thing, to be honest, but I guess there was a primitive basic internet later on available potentially. So let's take a look at some gameplay. So right now I have the system's turned off. The monitor is turned on. You can tell that by the indicator light in the bottom right. I have it turned off. Let's see if we can catch the sound I was talking about earlier, the classic iconic boot up sound. See if we can catch it. Yeah, there it is. That's it. So MECC was Minnesota Educational Computing Company, a corporation rather. They were huge. They made Oregon Trail. They number munchers, a lot of the educational games in the 80s. So travel. Let's do travel, learn more about the trail. Let's do travel. Now to beat this game itself, there is no mouse. You basically use keyboard. It takes about 35 minutes to complete, right? There's different paths you can take. I always prefer being a banker. There's different options. You can be a carpenter, farmer from Illinois. I'll be from Boston. So a little further to go. What's the first name? Let's go John. And I'll do my wife, Laura, and my kids. For the fifth one, we'll just put Lester, my last name. Are these names correct? Yes. Now my camera's not really picking up. It's actually picking the monitor up pretty well. You notice a lot of times when you film a TV, older TV anyway, CRT, you get kind of the waves. I'm not seeing that through the camera, which is interesting. So I always prefer traveling in March, earlier in the year, even though it's kind of cold in Boston. It gives me a little more time. So we'll go March. You hear it load. Before leaving Independence, you should buy equipment. Okay, I have $1,600. Let's go to the general store. Plenty of food. Okay, we're gonna do obviously the oxen. How many would you like to buy? Which item would you like to buy? I'm gonna buy one. How many? 2 oxen in Europe. 3 yokes charged. Okay, I'm gonna do 3. It's what they recommend. Being a banker, I think I get more money too. So that's another benefit of being a banker. Food, I always stock up in food. So 200 pounds food for each person. So I have 5 people. We're gonna do 1,000 pounds. Okay, I have $600 to spend, which is a ton of money in the late 1800s, right? Ton. To do clothing, of course, we don't want to be naked. How many do we need? 2 sets of clothing, at least. So I'm gonna do 4. Oh, that's not right. Hold on. That'd be so 4 each person. So we'll do 40. 40. Okay, ammunition, of course, go hunting. That's the most fun part of this is, right? How many boxes would you like to buy? Each box, 100. Okay, I'm going to buy 100 boxes. Oh, 10. I guess you can do 10. Okay, let's do a little more than that. I'm going to do, 70. Okay, and then spare parts. Wagon wheel, 10. Okay, to have a few, so I'm going to buy 2. I guess I'm going to buy 3 of each. How much money do I have left? I'm spending I got $950. I'm going to buy a little bit more food. So how many pounds for each person? So 2,000. I'm going to buy, 200 pounds per person. I'm going to buy 2,000 pounds. Is that right? Let me do it again. Did I do 200 or 2,000? See if there's some music here. Loading, can I hear it load? Classic. The music's coming from the computer itself, not from the monitor. Oh man, that's classic. Okay, I'm gonna continue on trail. I can check supplies, I can look for a map. Let's check a map actually, let's do map. Oh, this is my supplies. Oops, my bad. Okay. Let's do 3 map. So you look, I'm here. So I guess we all start in the same place. We all start regardless where you're Boston or whatever. You start in the same place, and we're going to go to Oregon, right? That's the goal. My family actually did the Oregon Trail, or my ancestors did anyway. I actually have a hammer that it's a family heirloom that was from the Oregon Trail, which is kind of cool. So let's go. 1, enter, let's start trail. Now you can die above, you get Indians or Native Americans attack you. You can also have sickness. gonorrhea. I don't know, we die of random things, right? You can get cold and run trail, lose 2 days. So obviously my food, I can get here to this river. I've traveled 102 miles. I'm going super fast. Are you now at the Kansas River crossing? Would you like to look around? Yes. That's beautiful. Look. Okay, let's go to, oh, you know what? I'm going to change free ration. I can change free rations, stop and rest, attempt to trade, talk to people. I'm going to continue on trail. You must cross the river. The river at this point is currently 636 feet across, 5.9 feet deep in the middle. That's pretty deep. I'm going to attempt to forge, which would be, just crossing Cockabug and float, take a ferry cross, wait to see if conditions improve. I'm going to attempt to float because 6 feet deep, that's pretty deep. I mean, the whales are huge, but I think that's pretty deep. I don't get flooded. Let's try it. Fingers crossed. Here we go. Don't fall, don't fall. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, wagon tripped over while floating. You lost 944 bullets. One wagon wheel. Oh my gosh. That kills, man. Okay, let me see my... Okay. Brutal. All right. I'm going to hit enter. Let me see what my supplies are. I'm going to see how many bullets I have left. That's... Bullets. I lost... Oh my gosh. Good thing I got a lot of bullets. I have 456 bullets, which should be enough to get me through the trail, honestly. But man, I lost over, 2/3 of my bullets. That's crazy. I'm going to stop and hunt for food. Check this out. Now later on, there's like other animals you can hunt, like bison and things like that. But we'll see here if I can remember controls. So start walking is return, arrow keys, rifle, space bars to fire. Okay. So enter to walk. There's a rabbit. Oh, there's a deer. Oh. Oh, there's bison. Oh, no. Come on. I gotta get something. Nothing. Unable to shoot. Okay, I'm gonna hunt for food again. Let's see if we try again. Nice. Okay, got the buffalo. Nice. Squirrel! Squirrel! Okay. Almost got the other buffalo. So I caught 1,800 pounds of meat. However, I'm only able to carry 100 pounds back. What a waste. I know the natives they use 100% of the body, right? The meat, the bones. I mean, settlers back then, I guess, were wasting food, and I guess it's not much different in America when we eat nowadays. We're pretty wasteful as a society. Wow, that's crazy. But let's continue. You guys definitely get the idea. We can stop and rest. Let's go to the next outlet. Continue on trail. Weather's nice. Health is good. I got plenty of food. Okay. Oh, dysentery. This is what you die of. Yeah, dysentery. Okay. So Mark's not feeling very well. Big Blue River crossing. Would you like to look around? Sure. Best soundtrack. Okay. I'm going to continue on trail. Now, normally I would rest because Mark's not feeling very well, right? So I'd rest for a few days. I want to see what happens if we don't rest, though. If we don't rest Mark, what happens? Okay. It's 235 feet across. 3 feet deep. I'm going to try to ford the river, meaning I'm going to cross normal. I'm not going to do anything else. Just cross it. We'll see what happens. Hopefully it's shallow enough. Oh my gosh. I just got flooded. Too deep. 26 sets of clothing. 71 bullets. 1 axle wheel. 1 ox died. I lost Lester. He's drowned. Excuse me, guys. Oh my gosh. Lester. Oh. This is the worst game of Oregon Trail. I'm usually a lot better than this, but let's keep going. Oh my gosh, guys. Mark has died. Oh God. Mark. No. Oh. All right, guys. I don't know if I can take any more. This is really emotional for me, guys. Truly. Oh. Blizzard. Lose a day. Guys, this is brutal. Oh my gosh. Would you like to see gravesite? Yeah, sure. I've lost 2 people on my party, guys. Oh my gosh. Let's see what it says. Here lies Andy. Pepperoni and cheese. Okay. So random. All right, guys. I'm going to let you go. Like I said, it takes about 30 to 45 minutes to play through the whole game. I don't want to waste your time anymore, but appreciate you guys watching. Thanks for subscribing as always. That means a lot. Leave a comment below. Let me know if you remember this game. If you haven't, definitely check it out. It is available on like mobile now, right? So I do have it on my iPhone. The game is different. I will say that. Still a great game. It's just different. But anyway, definitely check it out. Thanks for watching, guys. Oh, this is my birthday, March 25th. It's my birthday. Cool. Anyway, we'll see you guys soon. Take care. And of course, game on.